lie there in that old curiosity shop.
I never slept a wink last night. All I could do was think last night. Just wondering why you told me goodbye. I never slept a wink last night. I couldn't even go to bed. Had silly notions in my head. 8 hours or more walking the floor. I never slept a wink last night. Baby, this is so new to me, baby. What did you do to me, baby? You made it blue for me, you know you did now, didn't you? Please make things like they were before, so I can get my sleep once more. We just can't break up, we've gotta make up. I never slept a wink.
Okay, let's dive in and see what's what. I'll tell you that everything that you see here on the kitchen counter came from the weekend's flea markets. No thrift shops, all came from one flea market that I attended on Sunday afternoon. But first, today's cup of coffee is brought to you by...
A cup of coffee, a sandwich, and you. A cozy corner, a table for two.
Well, I don't know who today's cup of coffee is brought to you by because I haven't identified it yet. You know, well, you may know, I collect individual cups and saucers from the Depression era, made of glass, and I'll buy the everyday, inexpensive cups and saucers, as well as the elegant. And this one's elegant because it is etched, and it's been polished a bit. So this is one of the good companies. That etching is pretty common, and I guess I could go through my books and figure out whether it's Cambridge, Fostoria, Duncan Miller, so forth. But anyway, and thank you to one of my subscribers. That's the instant coffee, and this is my second cup today. It's really, really good. Some of the things I'm going to keep for myself. See if you can figure out, what do you think I'm keeping and what do you think is for sale? Well, I'll tell you. We'll start with the things that are up for sale in the old curiosity shop, and that would be this wonderful cake plate, uranium glass, made in the 1930s. Not sure of the maker. I pick up a lot of the Jeanette cake plates that are footed, and they are in green and pink. This one is not Jeanette. The Jeanette ones were given away free in flour, sacks of flour. This one has no feet, and it has a tiny little rim there. Not much of a rim to speak of, but it's there, and it glows beautifully under black light. I think that is, if I remember the measurement, might be about 10.5 inches. Nice cake plate from the 30s. This piece of glass over here is called, well, how many of you said Fenton? Makes you feel like Fenton, but it's not. It's a piece of cranberry glass with a ribbed optic pattern through here and an applied decoration. It's blown and the pontil is polished off. And this is new, relatively new. This is called Pilgrim Cranberry. How in the heck did I know that? Well, where is it? Okay, there it is. It might be upside down. Can you see it? Pilgrim Cranberry. The Pilgrims brought this over in 1620. Now, no they didn't. You can actually buy this in gift shops, I think maybe at some of the historic sites, Williamsburg and that kind of thing. So it's new glass, but it's well made, it's pretty, it has an old-fashioned look to it. and I had to buy it. I love this, probably from the late 40s into the 1950s, for your little measuring spoons, right? We have the 4 different sizes, and they fit down in this little wall pocket, and they form the flowers. I do know the maker, but it escapes me right now. It simply says patent applied for on the back, but once the company achieved the patent rights, they then put the company name, and I forget, I think it might be in my listing. It's not a big deal. This can either sit on the counter or hang on the wall, and that's really cute for your kitchen. And all of the measuring spoons in there are plastic, and they're in really good condition. So I hope you like that. Now we'll jump down here to the front, and we've got a couple of ashtrays here that were made in Japan. Boy, that sun is bright, isn't it? This one here, very typical of what would be made in the 1930s. Very inexpensive, probably sold for 29 cents at Woolworth's. And you don't even have to turn it upside down to know it's a 1930s made in Japan piece. Some of the paint is cold painted, some of it is fired on. So there's going to be a little bit of paint loss, but there aren't any chips or cracks. Very inexpensively mass produced, but these little things are highly collectible. As cute as it can be, 2 monkeys with little fez hats on, playing a snare drum and some kind of a lute or guitar. And it's lusterware with some other colors of paint. And this is an ashtray as well. Now you might say, no, that's for rings. Well, you can put rings in it, but it was actually sold as an ashtray. It was marketed as an ashtray, even though you don't see indentations for cigarettes. Some of these Japan ashtrays didn't have those indentations, but they were still marketed as ashtrays, made in Japan as well, and there's no damage on that either. Now these 2 fellows back here, let's see, we'll move you out of the way for a second. These guys have lost their salt and pepper shakers, which would be hanging from the sides of this yoke that he's got around his neck, or that she has around her neck. I'm not sure which it is. But strangely enough, I found these 2 together, completely missing their salt and pepper shakers. Now, they would have been sold individually like that, you know, with the 2 salt and pepper shakers hanging in the form of buckets or something like that, but they're gone. How 2 of these got together, I don't know. You can't really do anything with them. These aren't shakers themselves. They're made in Japan, and it's a kind of a porcelain. And again, these would be before the war. You can add them to your collection as Asian figurines or track down the salt and pepper shakers. Okay, let's start moving, folks, and we'll try to zoom in here. These things, by the way, are all currently available in the Old Curiosity Shop. A lovely pair of, I guess, 22 or 24 karat gold encrusted salt and pepper shakers, beautifully embossed. Aren't they lovely? There's no damage on these. The little stoppers are gone. They could be American made or Japan, I'm not sure. But they're in such good shape. Put your stoppers in and you're ready to shake your salt and pepper in style. This was exciting because I've never seen it before. It's not, I wouldn't say rare, but it's hard to find. Cheese it, here come the cops. Okay, you know that expression was popular around mid-century. I've heard it in films before. It's a slang term meaning, you know, everybody quick hide, get under the table before we have to go for a ride. Here come the cops. And it says cheese it. Okay, so this police officer here is a cheese dispenser, and he's very portly, so it'll hold a lot of cheese, and he's missing his stopper on the bottom, not a big deal. This may be American made. It very well may be, I don't know. Or it could be Japanese, but I have a feeling it might be American. So in the 1950s, we started really eating a lot of pizza and spaghetti. Those kinds of things were gaining in popularity in this country. And you would see these cheese shakers. So he's in excellent condition. There's no damage on him at all. And you don't find him very often. So if you like him, I would say go get him. Now we'll bring these two up front. We have some swingers here. All right, get out of the way. Now these are also made in Japan. And these are two little vases. And she swings and he swings. And they're really cute. We can see here, they can be used as vases. And we've got little birds sitting there. And a cute little Scotty is looking up at the boy. And over here, a cute little bunny is looking up at the girl. Isn't that nice? The little figures are sort of almost a bisque, and then more of a shinier glaze on the vases themselves. They're marked Japan on the bottom. And so, again, something from around the mid-century. I like those a lot. Oddly enough, or surprisingly, there's no damage on either one. So that's pretty exciting. Now, I was thrilled to find these, a matching pair. Now, I don't know if McCoy called their blue Cobalt or not, or if they had some other fancy name, but we're just going to say Cobalt for the heck of it. You don't see a lot of Cobalt pottery. It's not rare, but it's just not a color that is as common as the others, especially in McCoy. And to find a matching pair, I think these are 7 inches tall. There's not a chip or a crack on either one, so we have a lot of things going. Cobalt, harder to find. A pair is always better than one, and the condition is excellent. We don't even have crazing of the glaze unless you get, I mean, you have to really get right up on it with a fine magnifying glass to see any type of crazing at all. There's the stamp on the bottom, which puts this right into the late 30s through the 40s. Both of them are clearly marked McCoy, which means they are the real McCoy. Now, if we slide this little guy in front, he's only marked USA, and I'm selling him separately. But look how neat they go together. These sort of bold primary colors. Very 1940s. And so again, this is in excellent condition, and that's in an auction all by itself. I'm not sure who the American maker is of that, but really excited to find the two McCoy vases. Okay, this is not listed yet, and this just gets a quick look. See? That's all you get. No, I'm kidding. This is going to come back in the fall. You know, I am always looking for autumn-colored things. I'm trying to get myself in the light. This is really pretty, but it's not showing up that well. It has a beautiful honey color. I just can't seem to get it where I want it. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that because you'll see that in the fall. All right, let's put that away. Father's Day is coming up, and whose dad does not like Dad's Root Beer? Indiana Glass made this for the Dad's Root Beer Company. It is a very heavy, when I say very heavy, that weighs 1.5 pounds right there. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe it's just 1 pound. But it's a Dad's Root Beer mug, nicely embossed, in excellent condition, and it is, as I said, very heavy. Just a nice thing that somebody's dad might like. I don't remember if my father was a fan of root beer or not. I don't think he was. These should sell for about $15 for the pair. Now, the more valuable ones are the ones that say Orchid of Hawaii, if I remember correctly, on the bottom. These are made in the USA, and it's Tiki Leilani mugs or vases. They're both in excellent condition with no crazing. And a lot of folks really love the 1950s, 60s tiki exotic stuff. And there are two for you right there, should that happen to be something that you're interested in. All right, moving along. I'm going to show you some of the things I purchased that I'm going to hold on to for a while, or maybe hold on to for quite a while. Except for these pencils. They're not listed yet, but they will be. Isn't that great? Tupperware Home Parties and Stanley Home Products. I couldn't leave without those. That stopper is for a piece of Art Deco glass that was missing a round stopper. We'll see if it fits. That particular piece of glass is in another location, and I'll have to show you later. There is an Art Deco ashtray, which reminds me so much of the Manhattan pattern of the 30s, and then I think they reproduced it as Park Avenue in the 80s, I think, but I don't necessarily remember. I don't collect ashtrays, but this is so deco. This could be used as a spoon rest, so I really like that. I am putting together a collection of modern tone, wait a minute, yes, by Hazel Atlas, in Ritz Blue, and I've got almost a complete place setting for 4. I found this shaker for $1. They sell for about $15 to $18 to $20 online for a pair, maybe $6 or $7 for just one shaker, depending on the condition of the lid. I was happy to find that for $1, and I'll keep searching until I find its mate. This is a little jadeite, I guess in the shape of a ginger jar. And it's fired on, and I have either a Anchor Hocking or Hazel Atlas feel to this, I'm not sure. I did find it listed in my jadeite book, but they were not able to attribute it to any particular company, so I don't know who made it. But we can say that it probably dates from the 30s, 40s, 50s, or, well, not 30s, I'd say probably 40s, 50s, or even early 60s. And I'm going to keep that as well. And then back here I have one Farberware candlestick of Brooklyn. It probably needs to be clean. In fact, I know it has to be clean, and the sunlight coming in is really showing off the dust. A while back I found a pair of these, if you'll remember, very similar to this, made by Farberware, and these, but they had glass candle holders instead of the chrome. So very modern, very 1930s when this was very popular. It was sleek and elegant. And Farberware in New York, where is it? It's upside down, but it is there. They made a ton of this stuff. So eventually I'll find a second candlestick to go with it, but I like the single on its own. And then I also purchased a set of 6 little cocktail glasses, and these would go with a shaker. I'm going to insert a few photographs to show you the type of shakers that this would have come with. These became popular after the repeal of the Volstead Act. One of the very first things that FDR did in 1933, hail, hail, the gang's all here, happy days are here again, and everybody was, well, not everybody. I know my Methodist grandparents weren't out having cocktails. But cocktail shakers and barware was all the rage. I don't often find ruby colored glasses, especially with trimmed in silver, which sometimes these are actually trimmed in platinum, although I don't think this is platinum. I will hold on to these and I will match them with either a ruby cocktail shaker or another type of cocktail shaker that's made out of chrome, and it's going to look fantastic. And then finally, I'll just keep for myself, I can't imagine that anybody would purchase this, but from probably the 1940s, this wonderful set of art pencils, colored pencils, and in this fantastic, well, I'll let you see them first. They're all in there, amazingly. And it folds down into this wonderful little box and snaps shut. Do it with one hand, there we go. So I really like that, just because I like the graphics, and it's from the late Depression era, the 40s probably. And I love that all the pencils are in there. So I'm going to keep a hold of that. Alright, so backing up here, I've got everything. I think we've seen it all. Now, did I forget anything? I think that is it. So I'm going to sit down now and have my coffee and ginger snap and say thank you for watching. And you know what? I'm going to say something that you have probably only heard me say 3 times in the last 2.5 years since I started this little channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I never say that. And you know what? I would be delighted if you enjoy and you would subscribe. It has never become a habit for me to remind you to do that. Doesn't mean that I don't want you to subscribe, so please feel free, if you haven't done that, hit subscribe and you'll know, of course, when I put out more videos. Okay, 2 thrift hauls, 2 days in a row. I am breaking it wide open. Alright folks, I'm Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching, and so long for now.